This is A Course in Miracles, Introduction. This is A Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. To me, this is where the fundamental teaching is. If you want the shortcut of the whole course, it says this course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way. It's basically these three phrases. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And those two lines, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists, is in bold. And the whole introduction is italicized. It's really emphasizing the importance of this. And so many times I've come back to just these couple of phrases. Sometimes when I get so deep into the text and so lost in trying to figure out the concepts and understanding and comprehending it in my experience, sometimes I just have to go to this very simple page, which includes these several phrases. Because sometimes we get so lost in the fear experience and the experience of suffering and the experience of any sort of difficulty. I experienced being sick earlier this year. And just the night before, I was explaining to a friend about this phrase that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Because ultimately, this experience in this body, this experience in this world isn't completely real in the ultimate sense. In our experiential sense, in our perception, it is very real. But it depends on which sort of layer of truth you want to believe. If you want to believe the truth of our perception, then yes, it's going to be painful and full of suffering. But when you're so fully tuned into the truth, and remember that nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists, herein lies the peace of God, then you lie in the peace of God. And in that state, you're untouchable. And it says here how it's not about teaching the meaning of love, because it's beyond what can be taught, but it removes the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. So realizing that what we are is love, ultimately. And I think everyone deep down knows that. And it comes later in the course where it talks about how we're actually so afraid of love that we think we're afraid of fear, but we're actually afraid of what's possible if we didn't have any fear, if we didn't have all of these blocks of actually fully experiencing love. And so if you're here in this video, thank you. Thank you for taking this step wherever you are in your journey, knowing that, as it says, you don't establish the curriculum. Free will isn't about choosing this or that. Free will is choosing with God or not. And if you're here, then it means that this is part of your curriculum, whether it's this single video, to hear a single line from this, or whether it means that this is the start of your whole journey, or whatever way, shape, or form it takes for you. I just want to thank you so much for doing the work, for taking the time to listening to yourself, to listening to a little bit of truth. And I just want to share some love. Thank you so much. Another thing I wanted to share is that this is called A Course in Miracles, not The Course in Miracles. And when people say, oh, the Course in Miracles, I make sure it's A Course in Miracles, not the, because that would imply that this specific book, text, is the only way. But to be clear, this is a way, a course. And it's not necessarily just course like a class or book, but more like the path, a path that ultimately leads to God. And I do believe that all paths do lead to God. So what this is saying when it says this is a course in miracles, it is a required course. To me, that means that the path is required, meaning it's inevitable, it's eventual. Even if somebody doesn't take this exact path of finding God in their lifetime, I do believe that consciousness will continue until however many lifetimes, however many experiences are needed. And so in that sense, it's required because it's inevitable. And then it says, only the time you take it is voluntary. Again, you can take lifetimes, or you can accept the teaching and what's underneath this, the principles of it, immediately. And that's voluntary. And for me, I see when I have resistance to accepting, when I want to deny the truth, when I just want to pretend like it doesn't exist. But it always comes back to the same thing. And the feeling of peace and the experience of peace is what I keep coming back to. So it's just, how long do you want to take? And again, it says here that free will doesn't mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. So with the idea that it's inevitable that everybody's going to go through this process, it's that each of the lessons, each of the pieces of knowledge, they exist, they're there. But however long we want to take, that's up to us. And again, it doesn't necessarily need to be through this particular book, this text. It can come in any which way, but it's inevitable. Because what this text is really about is more about learning to undo rather than adding more information. As in, the truth is there, is in us, is part of us, is who we are. And it's more about unlearning all of these things that have been blocking us from knowing that. And so given that it's all of the layers of undoing, we're all going to experience those things, whether that's letting go of certain attachments, letting go of special relationships, letting go of judgments. It doesn't matter the way, shape, or form that it happens for you. It might be some minor experiences that help you to let go of that, or it might just be a choice in your mind. But it is inevitable. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being here. Wherever you are, I love you.